Hey everyone, Jacqueline here, and I'm going to go through my GPE340 class that's programming for game engines. I'm going through my Milestone 5 right now and just showing you my finished product, I guess, as far as the class goes. We've got a lot going on. First I'm going to show you just like the build of the game. I think this is the most up-to-date one, but we will see. Okay, so here we have our main menu. From here you can click a number of buttons. So the start game starts the game. Scores shows you all of the scores up until recently. We have our options menu, so we can change our controls. So here we can click like H and then like J, right? So that allows us to change our key bindings for movement. We also have our video, which helps us, which will allow us to change like our resolution. So here, save that. It windows it. Options. So we could set this back to, whatever. Scroll down to my actual resolution here. Okay, save. So that's that. We'll full screen that back up, which now that I've changed it, it's broken, it's the opposite. And then we hit save for the graphics here. This button quits the game, so that works. And finally, I'm going to finally start the game. I will change the audio to be lower so you can hear me. Talking over that's not, interesting. So, as you can see, we're doing a little bug finding while we're doing the video, but that's okay. For the most part, it works as intended. Let's see, 1920, we'll do this one, save. And then, we'll screen that. Okay. And then I'll resume and show you the game. Cool. So we have pickups and we have our enemies. They will shoot at me and do damage. So you can see that they're hitting me. My health is dropping in the top right. Top left. If I let them hit me enough, a lot of them are missing. It's funny. So if I let this drop enough, I will lose a life. So here we go. Here, death animation, lost a life. Here. And then I think that's pretty much everything. The camera follows. It rotates to mouse position, all that fun stuff. I can shoot. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at as far as the old stuff. The new stuff we kind of get to see in my whole video here. First we have our audio and our video, like our options. So I'm going to take you through how to do that kind of stuff. First, I have a window manager. This handles all of my resolution-based stuff. So I'm going to just open that. And I'll show you how we're setting the resolution. So the first thing we have is all of our global variables here. The really important ones are going to be the drop-down menu that holds the resolution stuff that lets you change it, the drop-down menu for the quality, a list of the quality names, and then the resolution array that holds all the resolutions, and also our full screen here. And then essentially when you change the drop-down menu in game, it's going to call when you hit save, so you're going to change this, it's going to change the value, whatever this is, and then when you hit save, it's going to call a function on here called apply resolution and also apply quality. So all we're doing here is we're just checking to see if the resolution, so we're going to loop through all the resolutions. If the resolution that we're currently on while looping through is equal to the text value that is in the, that's been saved in the drop-down menu, then we're going to set the resolution to that. And then we're set full screen to equal to whatever full screen's equal to. And then kind of same thing for the quality. We just loop through all the quality things, and then if the quality in the drop down is equal to the name that we're currently on, then we're going to set the quality setting here. And we're going to set that at our current I value, because there's only 0 through 5, 0 being the fastest quality and 5 being like the most fantastic graphics quality. And then finally, you saw that we had a checkbox for toggling full screen. All this does is set whatever full screen is equal to what it's not. So if it's true, it sets defaults, and then if then after that we set our full screen boolean equal to whatever the full screen value is. So we'll do that, and then that's kind of how all that works. For audio, we have a different manager called Audio Manager, and so I have that here. This just has an Audio Manager script in here that lets us set our the volume level. So before we can even go into that, I want to walk you through Audio Mixer. Here I have an Audio Mixer. This is the one that I'm currently using. So when you first create an audio mixer, you're going to have only the master channel in here. And to add a new group, so to add these ones, you go over to groups and press the plus sign, and then it creates a new group. So I'm actually going to delete that one because we don't need it, but it creates that new group for you. So I did this and I named it music, and I did it again and I named it sound effects. And then once you have all the groups that you need here, we have to expose their variables to the script so that we can access them. So you just click on it, you go up to the inspector where it says attenuation, you right click, and then it's right here, right here it says expose volume of master to script. Right, and when you do that, it's going to pop up in here. So let's see, that one's changed. And we're going to name that whatever you want it, but you need to make sure that when you name it here, you're using the same name in the script. So here we have our audio manager. So we have all of our global variables and our references to our sliders and our audio mixer. And then down here, when the value gets changed on the slider, so it calls an event called onValueChanged, and then that event calls this function. It sets all those variables that we set in the audio mixer. It sets its value to whatever the slider value is converted to decibels. So right here I create a function. This private flow up here converts the value that gets passed in here, so the value of the volume slider. It passes that into the convert to decibel float, and then we're saying if it's not 0, then we're going to do our equation. So the equation is basically taking the base log 10 of whatever number is passed in and then multiplying it by 20. So if it's full volume, the highest that this can equal is 0, because the log 10 of 1 is 0, and then 0 times 20 is 0. But if it's 0.5, it's going to be a negative 0.3 times 20, and that's going to give you a negative number. So 0 is the highest number we can go to. But if it does equal 0, then we're just set to negative 80 because that's the lowest value that you can go to. And I'll show you that here on the mixer. So we have negative 80 down here, and we have 0 here. So this is where I set my highest volume to, just because that's still pretty loud, and this is way crazy high at 20. So we've got that. And then, so 0.5 is going to set it, I don't know, to negative 10 something, or negative 6 or 5. Maybe negative 2. I don't know, something like that. Probably greater. Whatever. It's going to set it to below 0. I can't do math. It's late. And then we're also setting our player prefs to equal the values, so that way when we leave and come back, we have our volume set how we wanted it. And then every time you change it, it sets the new player pref value. And then in this function on start, I just check to see if we have a key for the player for the volume values. So if we do already have it, we're just going to, at start, set the value, slider value equal to whatever is saved. But if we don't, we're going to just set it to full volume and then create a player pref for it to save. Okay, so that's how that works. I have my audio mixers in my scene. So I have two for the players. I have the background music, which is just the background music. And then also I have the player shooting, which plays the player shooting. This one doesn't have the audio set on it because the audio is going to be set based off of what type of gun the player is shooting. So when they shoot a pistol, it's going to play the pistol sound effect, and when they shoot the rifle, it's going to do the rifle sound effect. So I did that here in my weapon script because whenever they pull the trigger, it fires the bullet from in here. So the gun handles all of the shooting. And in here, I just check to see what weapon type it is, and then just change the clip and play it. So this one will be rifle shooting, and then this one's the pistol shooting. So that's all that. For the enemy, it just plays it because it just plays the rifle one because they can't actually change weapons. And then so for my enemy, I have his audio thing just directly on the prefab. So that's going to be on every single one. And since we're doing audio in 3D for the enemy, it makes it so that you have to be within a certain distance of the enemy in order to even hear the sound. So to set up that, I'm going to go to the scene view to show you the enemy real quick. So his audio, you see this giant blue wireframe sphere. So this is the distance that you need to be be able to hear the sound. So if you're outside this blue sphere, you're not going to be able to hear the sound. So to set that up, you just go to your audio source that's on your guy. Go to spatial blend, set that to 3D. So it'll be like a value of 1. And then change the volume roll off to linear. And then set the minimum and the maximum distance to whatever you want it to be. I set mine to 0.25 for min and 5 for max, just because I think that's a good distance. The player can be away from them and not have to hear all of the horrible shooting. Because that can get really overwhelming if every single person in the scene is shooting it. So that's how that is done. On my weapons, I have particle effects. So in my code, so my weapon, I have it just playing the particle effects. It just gets a reference to it and it says play. My particle effects only play for about 0.25 seconds on my weapon. So just long enough for a single shot. Let me open this. So here, it's on here, sorry. So here I have the particle system. You'll see that when I play, it just plays it for a second, but you have the muzzle flash here, and then it pops out some bullets out the side there. So how that's set up is I have two particle systems for the muzzle flash. One is orange and one is white. They're set up exactly the same except for the colors. And essentially they're just going in a cone shape from the front of the muzzle outward. And it just travels a short distance before the lifetime thing runs out on them. So then they get destroyed. And then the third one is this the bullets particle effect, and all that basically is the only really difference is the shape of it is a bigger cone, and then the renderer is using a mesh for that, so just using a cylinder mesh with a bullet material on there to make it look like a bullet, and it's just popping out, and it's changing the rotation over time. So it's just changing the rotation, so as it pops out, they kind of turn a little bit as they fall. Okay, so that's how that one's set up. And then for my let's say my health pack,